Today, why men can't think their way into discipline and where discipline actually begins. Welcome to Sacred Grit, a podcast equipping men to conquer addiction and overcome inner struggles through physical, mental, and spiritual disciplines so you can become a man of honor and integrity. I'm Jason.Lyle. Now let's get to work. Today you'll learn discipline isn't mental toughness, it's nervous system control. When your body is calm, your mind can choose. And spiritual resilience is built through embodied practice, not belief alone. This episode is brought to you by David Dodd, Edward Jones McDonald. What's up, my dudes? Welcome back to the Sacred Grit Podcast and Gritty Wednesday. Let's get down to it. So, you can't think your way into discipline, all right? You just can't do it. And discipline is not mental toughness, it's nervous system control. Here's the thing. And I told you this on Sacred Sunday, you get this feeling in your body, that's where it originates. You lose your breath a little bit. You get butterflies in your stomach. You get a craving in your body that feels like if you don't get your drug of choice, you're liable to crawl out of your skin. You know what I'm talking about? That's not mental toughness. Because you can't grit down and bear it through these cravings, especially if it's a craving from something like pornography, or if it's the sugar is another one, cigarettes, huge one, alcohol, heroin, benzodiazepines, you name it. These cravings are stronger than something you can control with your mind, but you can control it in your nervous system, okay? Because when your body is calm, your mind can choose. This comes back to our idea about yoga, breath work, meditation, and cold water immersion. We're learning how to calm the body. Because if your body is running at a higher vibration all the time, and most guys are, you're full of stress and trying to make ends meet, trying to get the bills paid, trying to keep the marriage together, trying to get the kids raised. You might jump out of the bed, take a shower, grab a coffee out the door. You're eating your lunch in the cab of the truck. I know when I had the plumbing company, or even when I was shoeing horses, it was always, sandwich on the hood, kind of letting the sun warm it up, cup of coffee in the morning, a sausage and egg and cheese biscuit and hash browns, just trying to get life done. And I was running redline all the time. And so when my cravings would come, it was not a far jump, right? From already being revved up to 10,000 RPM to just going ahead and jumping over the edge there and giving into my craving. And a lot of times would justify my craving because I would say, man, just look at how hard I'm working. Look at all the things I'm doing, right? So what we want to do with these disciplines is we just want to turn the volume down on your life a little bit. And I coach men to do this with all four disciplines: yoga, breath work, meditation, cold water. Some expression of that. It doesn't mean that you have to do an hour and a half every morning, but I coach them through some expression of that. But here's where I would encourage you to start, is learn how to calm your body in the middle of cold water exposure. Because here's the thing, when your body's calm, your mind can choose. What I want you to recognize here is that when I turn that cold water on and it hits me, it might be at the end of a hot shower, I might just get into a cold river, I might get into a cold plunge, whatever that may be. When you get into that cold water, you turn your RPMs up to 10,000. I mean, it's just, there it goes, right? But you sit with it and you choose to stay with it. And I cannot express to you enough the power of your choice, right? So you are on purpose, intentionally setting off these alarms in your body, and then you are intentionally turning those alarms down. This is huge for you, my dude, because if you can do this, you're going past mental toughness and you're getting into your body and you're learning how to control your nervous system where those impulses begin all together, right? You're heading it off at the pass, we'll say it that way, because spiritual resilience is built through embodied practice, not belief alone. Here's the thing. I love in the Bible where Paul says, your body is the temple of God. And I think Jesus teaches that as well. I can't remember chapter and verse, but there is this idea that you are embodied by this divine thing. And almost every spiritual tradition out there teaches this, that you and I are embodied by this divine thing. And so here's the thing. When I learn how to, in the midst of dysregulation, choose the right way for myself, choose the loving path toward myself, choose to allow myself to be led by this thing, which I'll call the Holy Spirit, now I'm starting to build spiritual resilience because I can feel that voice inside my body instead of the voice of my addiction, right? And I start to shift my belief about myself. I get in the cold, and I tell you this ad nauseum, I get in the cold every single morning. This morning in Dahlonega, Georgia, it was 11 degrees. My ice tub was frozen somewhat, and I got in it anyhow, right? And when I get in and when I access that calm, when I access that peace, when I stop and I feel my breath and I access everything that I know is good in me and I choose to stay, I am building spiritual resilience through embodied practice. And my dude, you can do the exact same thing. There are men all over the world doing this. I have a client in New Zealand. I have clients in California. I have clients all over. They are learning how to control themselves. They're learning how to be a man, in my estimation of the word, man of God. And I don't mean the Christian God, big grandpa in the sky. I mean the God that lives in the center of your chest. They're learning how to access that because they are learning spiritual resilience. Give it a try, my dude. It will change your life. Or book a consultation call. It's right there in the show notes, free, 15 minutes. I'll get on the phone with you, and I never stick to 15 minutes. Some of them end up being an hour, but it's free. Book the call, man. I'll hop on there with you, and we will talk about what it means for you to find your way to your true self. All right. Today you learned discipline isn't mental toughness. It's nervous system control. When your body is calm, your mind can choose, and spiritual resilience is built through embodied practice, not belief alone. My dude, thank you so much for listening, my man. I appreciate it more than you know. As I said, you could drop down in the show notes, click that link, and book a consultation call. I would love to have you. This episode is brought to you by my main man, Jody Morgan at Oak Haven Diagnostics. He and his wife, Jenny, they run Oak Haven Diagnostics, where they do pregnancy testing for cattle. And I think they do sheep as well, maybe goats, who knows. You can look them up at oakhavendiagnostics.com, and they will show you exactly how to get started with that program. All right, my dude, I hope you have a great week. I will see you on Sacred Sunday.